Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast sampler. And today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to write LGBTQ characters in your novel. So, my first tip that I would suggest to everybody, whether you are LGBT yourself or not, is to read other LGBT books. Some of my favorites include Ask the Passengers by A.S. King, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, or also the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon. And I don't suggest you have to read books that are like the main characters are gay or lesbian or trans. Like if you find those books and you want to read them, that's fantastic. But like the Bone Season, for example, we have a gay character, an asexual character, there's a trans character in book 3. So like the main character isn't lesbian or anything like that, but there is excellent LGBTQ inclusion in that book series. It's also one of my favorite book series of all time. So if you like science fiction, fantasy, futuristic mesh of a series, go for that series, in my personal opinion. Because these books and just reading LGBT books in general will get you a feel for how characters like that are written. My second tip, if it's possible for you, is to ask someone LGBT to read your writing. So, if you're a straight person and you're writing your first ever gay character and you want to make sure that this gay character is well portrayed, and you know someone gay and you're comfortable with asking them, ask them to read, a chapter or 2 or your whole manuscript and see if they're well portrayed. This is, in my opinion, a necessary step, but it's definitely helpful. For example, later on in my books, I'm going to introduce a character who's trans, and I have my best friend is a transgender, female to male, so I'm going to ask him to read that portrayal before I officially put it in the books. My third tip kind of coincides with the first tip. Watch LGBTQ films. Now, I had to rack my brain, and I haven't really watched too many myself. But again, this will get you a feel for portrayal of these characters and how to portray them well. Some films that I highly suggest are The Danish Girl, Love, Simon, and I just the other night watched The Normal Heart, which came out in 2014. That one particularly is extremely sad, but in my opinion, extremely, extremely well done, well acted, well written. So if you decide to watch The Normal Heart, just be prepared. It is about the AIDS epidemic in the 1980s. So it is very sad, but it is very good. You might want to wait for a happier time. You might want to wait for this whole COVID-19 pandemic to blow over before you watch that one. But yes, I would suggest those 3 films: The Danish Girl, Love, Simon, and The Normal Heart. The fourth tip, and possibly the most important tip, is write them like real people. If you think about it, what I mean by that is if you think about it, whether you're writing a gay character, a lesbian character, a bisexual character, an asexual character, their sexuality is just one component of who they are. So, for example, I'm pansexual, but that's only one part of me. I mean, granted, it's a big part, but I also like books and movies, and I love baking and writing and biking. Like, I have all these other aspects to me than just my sexuality. So do your best to, especially if you aren't LGBT yourself, do your best to write them as real people, and don't treat this sexuality as if it's this big scary thing when you're first approaching it. Just write them like real people. Make sure you include other aspects of their personality to focus on than just their sexuality. And now that I'm looking at my list, I'm realizing that I had written, ask someone to read LGBT to read your writing twice. So it looks like I only have 4 tips for you guys today. I really hope that those tips helped you and that you find them useful. I also hope you pick up some of the books or the movies that I suggested. They were really important to me, reading those books. And I also think the movies I suggested were really good portrayals, in my opinion. I believe The Danish Girl was based off of the actual woman's diaries. I think it was at the end explained that the I forget the main character's name, but the woman that the movie was portraying, they looked back at her diaries and kind of based the movie off of her diaries in a way. So I thought that was a really good portrayal. And yeah, I hope that you guys found this helpful and that you write some amazing LGBTQ characters. I would always love to see more LGBTQ books on the shelves, because we always need more of them, in my opinion. Of course, the phone starts ringing as I'm recording. Of course it does. So I will talk to you all later, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Have a great night.